Hello, friends. Welcome. I am so happy you found your way here. This is the Hello Redlow podcast, and I'm your host, Terry Mullen. So pull up a chair or go for a walk, put on those headphones, and let's just have a chat. Have you ever asked yourself what's next, or who am I, and what do I have to offer the world? If you have, then this podcast is for you, and I understand because I have walked in those shoes. And if you're afraid, even better, because I've been afraid too. But we're afraid and we do it anyway. So I love what Steve Jobs says. He says, your time is limited, so don't waste it living someone else's life. Don't be trapped by dogma, which is living with the results of other people's thinking. Don't let the noise of others' opinions drown out your own inner voice. And most important, have the courage to follow your own heart and intuition. They somehow already know what you truly want to become. Everything else is secondary. I just think that is a powerful statement. And when it comes to being an entrepreneur, it really resonates with me. I really get it. And so often we do have those voices that are already inside of us, that are speaking to us and guiding us. And we just need to pay attention to that and move forward and not be afraid. So let's dive into this a bit. Being an entrepreneur is really in my blood, and I've shared this before. My grandfather had a very successful family restaurant business for over 50 years that I was a part of throughout my whole childhood. And I have so much respect for who he was and what he taught me. I learned more from just watching him work than actually what he was doing. It was the way he conducted business that has stuck with me my whole life. He really taught me to serve others, to provide incredible customer service, to be more concerned about others than myself, to be committed, to believe in what you're doing, to show up and give it all that I have, and also to be honest. He had such incredible integrity, and I laugh now because I look back, and there were certain times where he did business the old-fashioned way, which was with a handshake, and he would look people in the eye and expect you to honor your word and to always tell him the truth. And that has really stuck with me my whole life, is just being honest and having really good integrity. But then I went on to help my mom with her business in Southern California as well. She had a salon business that she opened as a single mom, and I helped her run that. And then I also built my own clientele and had a very successful clientele for many years, and I loved it. I loved serving people and making people feel great about themselves. It was even more about that than doing the hair. So the entrepreneurial part of me has always been deep inside me. I've gone on to do other things, and some things I've been really successful with, and other things not so much. I've had my own success and failures. But that's what being an entrepreneur really is. It's about putting yourself out there and trying these things, having these ideas, and not being afraid to do it. But there was one season in my life where I actually had to go back to work and work for someone else, coming from being a full-time mom for a season of my life, and I had to work, and I had consulted with someone, and he said to me, I just don't think you're really going to like corporate structure. I don't think it's going to fit well. And I said, what do you mean? And he said, just by talking to you, you are so far outside the box. You are such a leader and a creative thinker that I think that structure is going to really frustrate you. And I didn't get it at first. I just kind of sat there and listened to what he had to say. And I had forgotten that I had actually taken this personality test years prior, that my number one trait was entrepreneur. And I literally had forgotten about it. But I went to work for this particular corporation, and I'm actually a really great employee. And I am committed. I work really hard. I'm dedicated. I show up. I love serving people with that customer service. And if I don't know something, I'll either ask or try to figure it out. And I love sales. So, but I found a lot of times I got myself in trouble. I was asking for forgiveness half the time instead of permission. And it's kind of comical. I wasn't in trouble in a bad way, but kind of in a funny way, as kind of a creative, thinking of new ways of doing things. And I was outside the box. It actually caused problems because I couldn't do things. I'd say, what do you mean? Why can't I do it that way? And there was certain protocol I was supposed to follow. So I just encourage you, if you think that way, that's awesome. That's an amazing trait. Thinking outside the box is a creative thought leader, and you don't like structure. It's great if you don't like structure. It's okay if you can pivot and shift and do things a different way. Honor that. So what is an entrepreneur then? An entrepreneur is someone that looks for opportunities to make a difference and to change things, to deliver value and make a difference in the world. Harvard Business School put out a list of character traits that entrepreneurs have, and I've written down 7 of them and added my own. But they are curious. First and foremost, they're very curious, and they want to make a difference in the world. They are adaptable. Number 3, they are decisive, and they also think outside the box. Number 4, they take risks. That's probably not a surprise. Number 5, they are comfortable with failure. I just love this one because I think it's so important for all of us to normalize failure, to realize that failing is meaning that you actually are trying something. You're trying something new, something different. It's a powerful thing. And they also allow others to fail, which is also so important. Entrepreneurs are also persistent, and they have incredible tenacity. And then number 7, I wrote, they understand their own strengths and weaknesses. And I added, they have empathy. I think this is such a powerful trait in today's world, in today's business. Brene Brown talks about this a lot in her book, Dare to Lead, which if you haven't read it, I really highly recommend it. Leaders today need to be vulnerable and open. They need to own their mistakes. They need to allow others to make mistakes, much of like what we're talking about here with this list. And those are the signs of a really powerful leader. It's not the stodgy, person that sits up here and tells you everything to do anymore. It's trusting the people that work with them and for them to do their job and to do their best, and giving them freedom to make mistakes and then own their mistakes. So I hope you see yourself in some of those qualities. I mean, there's a lot of other things to it, but those are just kind of some basic ones that I really love. So when I think about where do we go from here and how do we start? Well, first of all, much like what Steve Jobs says, you've got to really trust your gut and your intuition and your idea. Don't look to others for their opinions. Often, people are closest to us don't even get our idea. So trust yourself, but be willing to be scrappy. We don't need fancy. The world has changed so much. We've been so disrupted with the way we do business, where we do business, how we do it. And there's an incredible opportunity to just start wherever you are with your idea. And if you're in this space of digital, space, writing a book, doing a podcast, or starting a group, or writing a course, whatever that is, all you need is your computer and a Wi-Fi and a place to work. You don't need a fancy office, and you don't need a lot of employees. That's what Fiverr's for, where you just hire out one thing at a time. So don't let that get in your way. And the other thing is, I really believe that you need a community. You need a community of people that get you, your tribe, people that understand what you're trying to do. And especially as an entrepreneur, like I've shared, it can be such a lonely ride, and it's a high and low. And entrepreneurs get that. They really understand it without even having to speak it. For me, I took a course this summer with Kathy Heller called Made to Do This. She's an amazing thought leader, but there are so many incredible women out there that have these courses available. And a lot of Kathy's friends and the guests that she had are people that I've already followed for a long time that are these progressive thought leaders. And I will put in the show notes these different women that I follow and really admire, so you can take a look at that. I feel really strongly about being a part of a group that really gets you. And there are a lot of Facebook groups out there as well that you can join that are in your niche or your particular area that you are trying to start in, whether you're trying to start a podcast, write a book, do something on Etsy, start a brick and mortar store, whatever it is. There are so many groups online now that you can become a part of, and you can just search them. So I recommend that you do that. And the other thing, the last thing, number 3, is just be willing to fail. Be willing to get in that arena, make a few mistakes, be imperfect. This is the hardest one for me, truly. Let go of that perfectionism. Just show up and be messy, do the best you can, And if you make mistakes, awesome. Fall down, shake the dust off your boots, rise up, and start again. The world doesn't need perfect, and they don't even want it anymore. They actually want people that stutter over their words on a podcast, that laugh, make mistakes, that are real human beings. They don't want that filtered version anymore. They want someone with experience, whatever that experience is that you have that you're willing to share, and someone that's been there, done it, done some hard things, someone that's failed, made mistakes. And I think that's what makes Mel Robbins so amazing, is that she's so open and honest about her mistakes that she's made in her life. And don't be afraid to reinvent yourself. I look back at my life and I've reinvented myself so many times. And Mel Robbins shares that she's had like 50 different jobs throughout her life. And everything we do leads us to the moment where we are right now. That culmination of all that experience is priceless. And people are hungry for it. So I just want to encourage you, especially women, wherever you are in this journey, if you're thinking of starting your book, starting a podcast, starting your Etsy craft, whatever it is, do it. Don't let anyone tell you you can't. And the only way you're going to know if you can is if you actually start it and try it. And then find your group of people to help support you along the way. I will be doing something in January, which will be a group for women to encourage you and support you. So watch for that. I'm really excited about that. Until next time, believe in your idea. Believe that you have something valuable to offer. And know that you are seen, you are heard, you are loved, and you belong. This is Redlow.